Hey everyone, this is Elias from RevMatch Media. Today we are going to be test driving the 2020 Toyota Avalon TRD model. This thing is awesome. I'm excited for this. I've been wanting to not just sit in one, but I got to drive one for a week. So let's get started. Now, getting started in the front, we can see that with the TRD model, you get a really aggressive front end. This is different than the other models, which look a little bit tamer. This one has, like I said, a very aggressive front end. We have these massive grills in the front, sectioned off in 3 areas. Now, we also have the front Aero kit on this as well. Again, part of the TRD package. It is in the piano black. One thing that can be a little deceiving with this, it may look like these are vents, but they're really not. So the only real part that has air to go in is this little strip. So about the Toyota logo up and on this side. So those are closed off. Yeah, we would like to see some openings there for different functionality, maybe some cooling, but this isn't really a turbocharged car, so it doesn't need a super amount of cooling. But we do have this in here that on the sides that does let air through for cooling of the brakes and anything, you know, in that direction, probably even some aerodynamics. But really love the front end. The black and the red looks so good in this car, and the headlights just are nice and clear and just look like they have a great design. We also have the radar system in the front here because, again, with Toyota, a lot is about safety. Majority is about safety, but doesn't mean we can't have a little bit of fun in this. Under the hood, we have the 3.5 liter V6 with 301 horsepower. Now, 301 horsepower doesn't seem like a lot these days, but it definitely is a lot for this car. It is front wheel drive, so it is fairly easy to spin these wheels. And the torque on this is unbelievable. I don't have the torque number offhand, but the mid-range torque of this is incredible. If I were to give you guys like a torque curve, it feels like, you know, I'll face it for the camera, so 0 RPMs. So you could see, you could feel it. It has a good spike at the beginning, but then it flattens out slightly, and then it just kicks up and just plateaus. And you know, you feel that torque in the mid-range, and you see it as well with the traction control. So when you accelerate off the line, if you really floor it, it will give you a good amount of traction control to stop the car from spinning. But then once you get to the 3,000 RPM to about 5, it's still kicking in the traction control. So it'll, you know, bog you down slightly, not too much, it's pretty good. But then it just 3 to 5,000, the traction control is trying to control this guy because it really needs to do so. But it's a very, very peppy engine. So, and now typically I say that for small engines, but this is a big engine. And, you know, with the V, actually placed about like this. So we have the three of the cylinders are about going towards the back, almost going towards the back, because this is mounted this way because of the front wheel drive. And it looks pretty good to work on. Nothing out of the ordinary. Maybe the spark plugs in the back when needed to be changed will be a little difficult or a little challenging to get to, but other than that, I mean, this little thing is a lot of fun. Coming to the wheels, we're looking at a 235/40 by tire by 19 on the wheel. Now, this is the TRD model, so we have these black wheels, which I think always looks great, and with the combination of the red, just really stands out. Now we have the Michelin wheels, and they're the Primacy MXM4. I would like to say these are good tires, but unfortunately they were screaming with the 300 horsepower that is under the hood. So they were struggling a little bit. It wasn't until, you know, we had some traction control really helping it out that we saw some grip. And that's again only in deceleration, because when we were doing some turns, no issues, traction control and this combination was great, but just kind of off the line, or if you are at lower speeds and you accelerate, these are going to want to break free. So if I were to get it, I'd be looking into stickier tires than this. And this also has the big brakes on this. I believe they're about 14-inch rotors. With this one has the red colored optioned calipers, which again matches the car really well. Looking at the side profile, you could see it's really a fairly big sedan. It's got a good amount of size. The other thing you can really tell is that it's fairly low. For a factory car, this is fairly low. And it's not just the TRD suspension that this comes with, because this does have a special TRD suspension setup on it, but the Aero kit. The Aero kit really lowers this, or gives you the perception that the car is low. So again, we have the awesome black wheels. Just, you know, one of the things I forgot to mention is that they are black, so they do attract curbs. This one looks like someone might have hit a little bit of a curb here and there, just every so slightly, or maybe some road debris. So it's a little on the tough side with keeping them a little black. But you know, overall, I love the design, the side design of it, the Aero kit. You know, this small detail down here is great, you know, and having the contrast of the black piano, the piano black look to the red, as well as, you know, something like the mirrors. Oops, wireless entry. So you know, it's definitely a great design, and I love just the overall side profile and design of it. Again, really low, so careful with curbs as well for the wheels. I haven't bottomed out, so the suspension, that TRD suspension is working really well, and I was really pushing it in some corners, so it hasn't bottomed out. It hasn't scraped the lip, the front Aero. You have to be careful with that though. My wife almost, you know, was a little too, it is again a little on the low side, so going up to the parking spots, you have to just be very careful with that. Coming to the back, we're gonna see a couple of great things that set the TRD apart. We're gonna get this piano black rear spoiler that just sets it off right. It's just that little design to break up the trunk line. I love these taillights, just the design, the real deep cut that goes into this. We got our TRD badge on the side, and we also have part of our Aero kit is we have a rear kind of almost diffuser, very subtle, probably nothing too much more aesthetic than functional, I would say, but it does look great in this, on the rear of this car. We also have the stainless steel TRD exhaust that really opens this up. It sounds unbelievable. And when we pop the trunk, we have the option to do it with the button, or we also have the key fob that you can just hold down and it's able to open up. There is a huge amount of space back here. So it's definitely a very useful car. Now, unfortunately, I can't start the vehicle with the key fob, so I'm gonna have to do something for you guys to hear the exhaust, because I definitely want you guys to hear the exhaust. Now, I know some may argue it doesn't sound like a V8, it's not a big roar, but for what it is, it's a Toyota Avalon. This sounds pretty awesome. Enough talking, let's go for a ride. Now, my favorite part about this car is the driving. Let's start out with some of the ergonomic stuff. The steering wheel feels nice. I love the grip that I have around it. It's got this perforated leather on it, and it's got the red stitching, which looks nice. And you know, it's a good placement for my thumbs to just kind of wrap around it. Also, the shape is pretty nice. You know, nothing super wow about it, but it's still great. And I have paddle shifters in the back. Obviously, left is to down and right is to go up. So, you know, nice to have that in a car like this. And the seats. Now, when we get to the seats, they're pretty comfortable. You can see that it's a multi kind of material. You have the perforated leather, you have the sort of that cloth Alcantara looking material, and the red stitching and the TRD logo to tell you, yes, this is a TRD model. And it feels great. It's super comfortable, and you're able to really sit up like you kind of should in a race configuration, so to speak. You don't want to be leaning back too much, but it fits great. You know, it's a lot of times when you sit up like this, it can be a little uncomfortable, but there's tons of support. And I believe this is an 8-way adjustable electric seat, so definitely got some comfort stuff in here. And you know, when we come to just kind of the ergonomics of things, armrest is nice. You can, you know, have all your controls within reach. The dashboard has a cool like carbon fiber kind of pattern to it. It's not real carbon fiber, but it's got the weave pattern to it, and it looks nice with the black leather and the red stitching. Coming to the gauge clusters, it's nothing to be excited about. It's not that great. I mean, it's just plain. I was hoping a little bit more, and the readout information that this provides isn't very, I guess, TRD like. There's nothing additional to it. And when I go into sport mode, there's nothing indicative that I'm in sport mode other than literally the word sport. So I would have liked maybe, I don't know, a horsepower meter or something, even if it's gimmicky. It just, you know, it's kind of sets it apart and makes it a little bit different. Give it that little extra TRD touch. So I would have liked that. Not that it's bad, but if you're gonna go this route with TRD, give me that little bit more. Now, coming to the infotainment system, this was something that in the pictures just looked really bad in the Avalon, but it doesn't in real life. I thought, you know, with the angle of the screen and how it kind of looked in the pictures, how it was taking up some of your view on the in the front windshield, or just your field of vision. Not at all. This is actually lower. It's actually lower than the rest of your dash. So yeah, the pictures are a little bit deceiving, and that's why when Toyota released their press pictures for the TRDs models, the Camry and the Avalon, immediately I was drawn to the Camry interior because this just looked so weird, but it doesn't in person. So it is very low actually, and it works great. You know, you have your typical CarPlay, Android Auto stuff. Now this does have the JBL premium system. It is about $1,700. It has 14 speakers, including a subwoofer, and there's not many options available for the Avalon TRD when you get to it. There's not many packages because it just comes with a lot of things already. But that is the one you want to check on because this sound system is incredible. I was surprised by JBL because the last time we heard a JBL system. Now I'm a fan of JBL. I actually swapped out all my JBL speakers in my speakers in my car for JBL speakers because I've always loved their sound. Same thing with Harman Kardon. You know, with them being part of the same Harman group. I was disappointed with the last JBL system that I heard in another vehicle, and I thought, what is going on? But this redeemed itself for for me regarding the JBL brand. It is loud, it is clear, it is a rock concert in your face, and that's what I want to feel and hear in my sound system, and this really does it well. So if you are wondering, should I check that on for as an option? Yes, check it twice, in fact, if you can, because it just sounds really, really good. So I'm impressed by that. And then, you know, just coming down a little bit more to the ergonomics again of just kind of the controls. AC system down here, you have dual climate, very simple, very straightforward, nothing fancy, because again, it doesn't have to be fancy. Don't overcomplicate things. So that's great there. We come down here and we do have wireless charging in this one. So this one does have the option of wireless charging. The little cover was a little confusing at first because the design adds to wanting you to pull it, but technically it's you push and like a spring-loaded door. So that's nice because you could just put your charger in there and it will, your phone in there, and it'll charge with the door closed, out of sight, you know, and you can focus on driving. Only thing though is there is no textured surface in the charging area, so it doesn't really quite stay in the spot, especially if you're driving, you know, if you're doing some spirited driving, it just isn't going to charge. So if you're stuck in traffic, that's great because the car isn't moving, but if you're moving about, you're not going to want to do that. We come down here a little bit more. We have two cup holders. One of them's kind of a weird, like I don't know what shape you would call that. I guess like a Pac-Man almost kind of shape with its mouth. Pac-Man with its mouth open. That's what it looks like. They're not very big, so don't expect any Texas-sized cups to fit in this. We come down here a little bit more towards the buttons. Again, there's not much things, but that's what makes this car so great. It's very simple. It's very to the point, really. We have the Eco, Normal, and Sport mode buttons. The Eco, I've probably been in Eco about 5% of the time that I've been in this car, just to see, does it really work? And it does. You know, you put it in Eco mode and you start playing with the gas pedal, and it's going to ignore you for the sake of saving gas. So it definitely is going to help with that. And when you're getting 25 combined, 22 city, and 31 highway, you know, it's going to need to do its work. Then you get normal mode. It's going to be a little bit peppier, which I've probably been in that another, I'd say probably 10%, just to see what the difference is. And then finally, sport mode. I've been in sport mode pretty much the entire time. One of my favorite underrated things with this is you have 3 USB connections inside of the armrest. It's pretty good. You have the one that you would actually hook up your the one that would do the CarPlay or Auto or Android Auto, and it has these little channels on the side, which is great. Small little detail, but you'd be surprised how many manufacturers don't add a little channel like that for your cable, and you're dealing with a pinched cable. You're dealing with pinching a cable on the you know, for your phone. So tiny little detail, but is great, and the position is great. You know, the height is awesome. You have the ergonomics is really good to have your hand on the shifter if you want to shift from the shifter itself and not use the paddles. Now, one thing I just almost forgot, which is such a cool thing when I got in the car, and right now when I was adjusting, is the seatbelt. This thing has red seatbelts. It's so nice. It's such a nice little detail. And is it a little boy racer? Yeah, but you know, hey, there's Porsche cars out there that have, you know, Porsche does give you the option. So why not, you know, why not do it in this? So the red seatbelt definitely is such a little thing that adds to the look of the car. So it's a pretty cool design when it comes to you know, just kind of those aesthetics and making things look nice inside of the car. And the back as well, you can see the back seats have that same design happening that you have in the front. Now, when we get in the back as well, there's tons of space. There's tons of space back there. My kiddo sat perfectly fine. His child seat, I did have to take the headrest off. Again, as you guys probably know from my other reviews, his seat angles a fair amount. So I did have to take the headrest. It's in the trunk. But you know, he's able to sit there and loved it. Was very comfortable with it. And you know, having passengers in the back is not going to be a problem with this big sedan. Now let's get to the fun part. We have this 3.5 liter V6 with 301 horsepower, front wheel drive, 8-speed transmission, but front wheel drive. So I keep saying front wheel drive because 300 horsepower is a lot for this car. And yeah, I'm gonna hear it, oh, 300's not that much, but it can 300 horsepower in this makes it easy for you to spin the wheels. So traction control is definitely what you want to have on in this. The torque delivery is so good. You can see, actually you can feel the torque curve. I could probably graph out the torque curve, because at first it has a little bit, but then, you know, when the RPMs get to about 3,000 to about 5,000, that traction control starts going, oh boy, you know, here comes a lot of torque. So it starts kicking in just a tiny bit, enough to just kind of turn on the light, which is great. And it's amazing mid-range torque, unbelievable. I haven't felt this much mid-range torque. Usually, you know, we'll get low end or we'll get extremely high end, but the mid-range in this is spectacular. I was surprised and really enjoyed it. It was a really good combination with the 8-speed transmission that this has. Now, when you turn off the traction control, there is a lot of torque steer. So I am fighting the wheel a little bit to get the power down. It's not that bad though, but it's enough to be fun and make it active. But obviously, you know, you have to feather the throttle and make sure that, you know, you're still in control of the vehicle. One thing that I noticed when shifting in sport mode with the automatic transmission is the number that you get isn't really the gear you're in. It's not the best thing. So I'll give you an example right now. I am currently in sport mode. It's saying that I'm in 8th gear, but if I press down, it switches down to 4th gear, but my RPMs probably went up about 200 RPMs. That's not right. That does not make sense. So, you know, and if I hold it down to go up to the highest gear, it should show me the actual gear I'm in, not just the highest number. So that's one thing that was a little weird and really not very good. Not very good. You want to know what gear you're in. Not just, yeah, maybe you're in 8th gear, when in reality you're in 4th. But when you do drop it down and you give it some gas, it sounds so good. Yeah, that V6 with the TRD tuned exhaust, because that's what this has. You know, when you get the TRD model, it does have an exhaust. This is what you want to have. This is what you want to hear when you're in this. And the brakes are so good. 12-inch brakes in the front, they really grab on. Now the ABS isn't the best, as opposed to, you know, what I drove in the Mazda 3, where the ABS was just so welcoming and it felt so great, but it's good. It's really good. It has some bite to it. It really gets you stopped. And it doesn't feel like a heavy car. It feels like a big car in the sense of your dimensions, but it doesn't feel like a heavy car. And it does feel very peppy, and the sport and the, you know, the TRD sport suspension feels great as well. You know, I'm going through these curves and it's wanting more. It wants more, and it wants you to feed it more. And also the traction control when you're going on a turn and you're accelerating is very, very good. Because again, when you have that mid-range, you know, extreme punch that this has, it works very well with getting those wheels stopped when it needs to not spin, but get the other one going to get the power down. So as weird as it sounds, I want to always have traction control turned on this, because it's just so well done. Now I want to interrupt a little bit of where I usually film, but I found this out till after, which is why sometimes having these cars for only a week is really not that much. But turns out this has a valet mode. We saw that with the Charger and Challenger Scat Packs, which definitely needs that at the 480 something horsepower. You don't want someone having too much fun with that. That's not you. But this also has a valet mode, and this definitely needs a valet mode because you don't want people to have, again, too much fun with your car. So yeah, just again, I wish we had these cars for more than one week, but sometimes that's, you know, all we can get, which I'm happy for. But yeah, found out that little thing. This is so much fun. I don't know whose idea it was at Toyota, or at TRD really, to tell Toyota, hey guys, can we borrow one of these Avalons? You know, we need a car to drive around in. And then, you know, I can only imagine, you know, that's what would happen. And just, you know, the TRD department just says, let's have some fun with it. And same thing with the Camry. But this is an Avalon, guys. I remember when the first Avalon generation came out, everyone, you know, it was the Camry Plus. So it was the reliability, all the great things about Toyota, you know, the safety features, because this still has it. But it was just a little bit more luxurious than you know, the model before, Camry. It's got the point racer attitude. Does it attract attention? Hell yes, it really does, especially with the red color and the black combination, my favorite. But yeah, like for TRD to do this, this just makes sense. And I already saw the comments when I posted, hey guys, you know, in my local Facebook car group, I said, hey guys, this is what I'm going to be driving. And we got the mixed messages. We got the message of, oh man, those are awesome. I've always wanted to take a look at those. I've always, you know, thought they were great. And then you got the ones that are like, that's Grandpa's car. Hell yeah, this is Grandpa's car. I don't mind having Grandpa's car. So it's definitely gonna get those mixed messages, you know, those mixed reactions, so to speak. My reaction, I love it. This has been definitely one of my favorite cars that I've driven. What would I change about it? Or, you know, actually I would take this over a lot of different cars. And I know I'm gonna hear it, but I would probably take this over an Audi A4. because you have everything that Toyota is known for: reliability, safety, and now you throw in a little bit of fun. In fact, you throw in a lot of fun, and you have a great combination. So it's definitely something I would say I would take this over an Audi A4, or take this over, what else can we say, over a Mazda 6? Yeah, yeah, I would say I would take this over that. Or let's see, Volkswagen over the Arteon. That's a tough one because the Arteon really looks good, but I'm still gonna give it to this. This just has more power and it's more fun, and it's just a better overall package. What would I change? Just minor things like the gauge cluster. You know, give me something more exciting. Give me different modes. Show me something different when I'm in the different mode. Heads-up display would be super helpful, especially when you're in the TRD model and you're giving us this kind of more racer vibes. So heads-up display with maybe a small tack, you know, in the form of like a little bar tack. You know, give me that stuff. A manual transmission is gonna be too much of an ask, but this automatic transmission pairs up really well with the engine, and the front drivetrain just fixed my, you know, what gear I'm in option. That should not be showing incorrectly. That should be showing me the correct gear that I'm in. It should not be showing me an estimate or just whatever it is. I have no clue why it's not showing the right one. But yeah, just those little things. What else? Yeah, I would say that's it. Those would be the only small things that I would want this for. Oh, and cooled seats, vented seats. This does have heated seats, but I like vented seats. Small thing. Now its parent, and I say parent because obviously we're dealing with the ES model for Lexus, which is about the same as this. I did try the F Sport, the ES F Sport, and I wasn't as thrilled as I was with this. And I think that's where TRD did this so well for Toyota, in the sense that you know, the ES has basically everything that this has, and it's very similar to this, but it has too much of a polished feel to it, as weird as that sounds, or as you guys may relate. You know, it has too much of a polished feel, and it doesn't have the excitement that this has. It doesn't have that exhaust sound. It doesn't have the boy racer seats. It doesn't have the red stitching. It just, you know, it doesn't have that. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed my review. I've had such a blast in this. You know, I don't want to let it go. I don't want to turn it back in, but I have to. And yeah, you know, like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I want to keep this. My wife liked it. You know, it's definitely up there. It's ranking up really high with the want factor. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed my review, and remember, find the right gear, because apparently this won't tell us what the right gear we're in. Laters.